we had a wonderful game of cricket on Sunday night, the World Championship T20. I thought I would share with you some thoughts that I have on that game and some things connected with that. First of all, the sheer joy that the spirit of cricket has won after the battering that it, the spirit of cricket, got at Dubai by some forgettable behaviour. It was wonderful to get the spirit of cricket back. And I refer particularly to the last moments after the game has been done. The Indian players went there and embraced the South African players. And together all of them shared that moment of happiness, because victory and defeat are just two sides of the same thing, and one team will win on an evening and another will lose, but really nobody loses and nobody wins. It's the game, it is a sport, and more than everything else, it is a team sport. So all that came back, all that was vindicated. The spirit of cricket was back, and for that we should thank those magnificent players on that cricket field at DY Stadium in Mumbai on Sunday night. The redemption of the spirit of cricket. When I say redemption, there was certainly a fall at Dubai. I don't want to dwell on that very, very forgettable game or what happened after the game. What was clear in this game was the sheer spontaneity, the joy, the expression of all the players, and I particularly focus on our Indian players. They were enjoying themselves on the field, so much of sheer joy and speed. Everything was so joyful. Everything was so full of energy. So great it was. And that stood in some way, I may be wrong, some way in contrast to the kind of behavior we are used to, that is what I call the Captain Cool syndrome. That means no emotions to be shown, and that all our people, all our players are players who have nerves of steel and iron. Those are the people. There some kind of gladiator syndrome. They are going there to perform, there's not to show any emotion, that kind of thing. Well, that is a very superficial and unnatural construct. It is all foisted on these players, and they go about thinking that this is what they should show. But whoever tells me which human being, which player is born without emotion, they probably cry their heart out or dance in joy at some time, showing emotion, because we definitely have to show emotion at some time. Emotion is not something to be suppressed. It has to be expressed. That's how I see it. And therefore, all this players who have nerves of steel and all that is a lot of, shall we say, fiction foisted on these poor players. Leading up to the tournament, especially at the semi-final stage, the commentators and the newspaper people were full of phrases like vulnerability of our players. They were holding back tears and things like that. Now, vulnerability and holding back tears and all that is another way of saying that you are showing your expressions. You are sharing your expressions with others, which is a form of courage. It is the purest form of courage born out of competition when they go to the limits of their physical and mental endurance during the state of play. So all this thing was all, this thing, all the phrases that were coming out as though there was so much of vulnerability and weakness which they were overcoming is all a lot of fiction. For to truly be in the game, to be enjoying the game, you can't be kind of robotic performers. You've got to be human beings. And that's what makes all this so joyful. That's my first comments. Therefore, it seems to me that the spontaneity and the joy of cricket is back. And these players will define, I hope, cricket as it should be, a celebration of the human spirit, a showing of all the emotions that you have, because that is only the triumph of the human spirit. There was a beautiful picture in 2022. It was the Laver Cup, Rod Laver Cup, and Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. It was the last they were playing, and it was the last professional game of Roger Federer, because he had said that he was retiring. And after that game, both these great players sat side by side on a bench, and they were crying. That picture you could Google and get it any time, 2022. Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer sitting there crying on a bench. That is the spirit of sportsmanship, of the celebration of a great game. And that's exactly what happened on Sunday. Our players showed what it was to celebrate the game and to enjoy the game, and took the game to a higher level. And therefore, it is a matter of our thoughts today that this adjective, women's cricket, is no way to describe what we saw and what will define cricket from now on, I hope. It is one game, cricket, and no partitioning of the game as women's cricket. That, to my mind, is jarring. And that word is probably not quite what the description should be. Now, if there is a tournament where it's a championship for women, so be it. But this is going away. All over the world in international sport, it is going away, and it will go away. Say, for example, tennis. Well, that kind of distinction is going away because thanks to such great players like Serena Williams and Steffi Graf and Osaka and everybody else, they insisted on parity in payments. So there you are. There is no way in which you could, when you say tennis players, you couldn't say women's tennis player and all that. So all that is going, And I hope that Sunday night is the beginning of a recognition that cricket is cricket, and no way in which hereafter you can call it women's cricket. Oh, these magnificent players showed what cricket is. And from now on, I believe, when we speak about the great players of cricket, we will undoubtedly be thinking of them and not just like as we do now, some great players of the past. This is how I see the game. And therefore, my concluding thought is this: the spirit of cricket has won, and we saw that in that magnificent moment of togetherness. Not only that they were all so much together, all spontaneous, which I haven't seen very much in other events of other teams, but there was all together one. There was so much going for them as one, because it's a team game. That spirit was there. They were all one, because after all, they are going to play together. It's the team effort. And then, of course, as I said at the beginning, that wonderful moment of embrace with the South African players, saying that this is cricket and there is no victory or defeat. It is magnanimity in victory. They're sharing that they are great rivals on the cricket field.